Plan International Nigerian has called for urgent reform in Nigeria's education sector, including increased funding for basic education and stronger enforcement of compulsory schooling law to tackle the rising number of out-of-school children in the country. The country director of Plan International Nigerian, Dr. Charles Usie, mailed the call on Thursday in Abuja during a press conference marking the Global Action Week on Education. He said Nigerians has between 18.3 million and 20 million out of school children, with girls making up about 60% of the figure. Uzier blamed the crisis on poor implementation of the Universal Basic Education Act, inadequate funding, insecurity, poverty, and shortage of teachers, and poor infrastructures. He noted that 27 states failed to access UBEC counterpart funding, while only 21 billion naira out of 51.6 billion naira appropriatedly in 2023 was utilized by 16 states. He called for an increase in UBEC funding from 2% to 5% out of consolidated revenue, inclusion of senior secondary school and vocational education in compulsory schooling, and constitutional amendments to make education an enforceable right. He also advocates menstrual hygiene stations in schools to support girls' education.
Depending on who you're quoting, there's an estimated between 10 to 20 million children who are out of school. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring your understanding to what we mean when we say children are out of school. I think for many people, they still don't get what it means for children to be out of school. We are talking of children between the ages of 0 to 20. Some of them who have never been to school before, or some who started and at some point dropped out of basic education. So to that extent, when we talk of between 10 to 20 million children who are out of school, we are saying that this number of children have either never been to school or dropped out of school at a certain point in their life to such an extent that they have not completed basic education. Basic education is defined in Nigeria up until JSS3, junior secondary school. Now, colleagues, that's what we mean when we say out of school children. We are talking of children who, some of them are 15 years old and have never been to school. Some actually are even above that, but dropped out of school probably when they were only 4 years old and have not been able to go back. So when we talk about out of school children, this is the number, this is the category, and this is what makes them out of school. Now, this becomes really frightening for us. Because if we're talking of between 10 to 20 million, we're talking of almost 10% of our total population of 200 million. And these children will grow up to become the adults like me and you today in the near future. And the question is, how productive will they be without basic foundational learning? Now, let me also explain that basic education is not just academics. Basic education is foundational learning. That is where children learn how to form. That is where children learn habits. That is where children learn common basic etiquette when it comes to relationship, when it comes to apprehension. So it goes beyond just academics. That is why it becomes critical when children miss out on primary, what we call basic education. They miss out on a lifetime of opportunities. And this becomes really worrisome for us. So the question is why? Why do we have this number of children who are out of school? When we gather together like this, on this press conference,
probably to wash one plate, and you're now saying, okay, wash all the plates, wash my clothes, do everything. Education is a responsibility that the government owes children in its country. We are only coming to support. There is a whole lot more that needs to be done, apart from the basic things that we are doing, helping to train teachers, helping to ensure that there's infrastructure. What of policies? We have lots of policies, like we're talking about the UBEC Act. There's very little we can do as an organization if the government does not ensure that there's a good environment to implement those policies. So yes, we are helping. Yes, we are doing what we can with the resources we have. But this is the responsibility of the government, and government cannot shrink its responsibility. They must be at the front and will support. Because no matter how much resources we have, these are other people's resources that have been entrusted to us. What is government doing with the resources it has and has allocated for education? So we are calling on government, we are calling on well-meaning Nigerians. Let's also hold government to account, because sometimes A governor might not understand that that is what he needs to do at a particular place. I've been to some states where, as you are passing on the road from the airport, you see very fine buildings, state-of-the-art infrastructure, but just go to the next street behind there that no one is going to see. You see that the schools do not have roofs, no seats for children. Children are sitting on the floor. So let government stand up, take up its responsibility of providing for its citizens, and then we are here to support the government. Thank you.